Mexico is so close to the US, and you think it's close, it's safe, it's fun. One little incident happens and your whole life is upside down and you can't get help.
Justin Raiford and his boyfriend of almost 3 years, Jared Hill, are dealing with the aftermath of a nightmare scenario they endured while on vacation in Mexico a few weeks ago.
It was my birthday. We, decided to go to Tulum. So, it's absolutely beautiful there.
Upon arriving, the Texas couple decided to go to the beach.
He was like, let's go jump around in the ocean and play around the ocean. And we were just jumping around in waves. And, it was having fun. I was tired and was like, I want to go lay back in the cabana. And I actually started to walk away. I heard a voice inside of me say, you need to watch him. And I turned around and saw a bigger wave come and get him, and it crashed him into the bottom of the ocean. And then I saw him not come up, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Jared was instantly injured.
And he was under the water because he was fully paralyzed, and I had to pull him up. And he was just screaming, I can't move my body, I can't move my body. And I had to pick him up and carry him back to the beach while I was screaming for help. A manager of the beach club came over and I was like, we need an ambulance. I think he broke his neck. And some American doctor ran over and was like, I'm a doctor, can I help? The manager actually told him to go away. Manager says, we called an ambulance, and I was like, okay, great. So then it was just focusing on Jared because he is screaming bloody murder. Time just kept ticking and ticking and ticking. And I was like, what is going on? Then I noticed staff members started coming around, and the manager had the staff members stand in front of Jared, blocking him from the view of the other people at the beach club. And I was like, this is kind of weird. Probably 45 minutes had passed, and I was like, something is not right. So I asked one of the people blocking Jared, I said, can you please call an ambulance? And he pulled his phone out, and the manager told him no. And so he put his phone away. So I was like, something is up.
Justin went to the cabana to grab his phone.
So I WhatsApped our concierge and I said, hey, there's been a terrible accident. Jared's in a lot of trouble. I need an ambulance, and I don't think this place is calling them. So he was like, let me see if I can help. He calls the GM, finds out they had not called help. And I was like, I knew it. And then he deleted the WhatsApp message that he had told me this. And I was like, okay, something is going on. I do not feel comfortable at all.
Justin called Red Cross.
I just told Jared, help is coming, help is coming. It was over 3 hours, and the hospital is 4.5 miles away. With, the person I love most in the world screaming in pain, scared for their life. And I get out of the ambulance and I'm like, okay, what are we doing? And there's all these people standing outside and nobody's taking Jared out of the ambulance. Some doctor came out and said, we won't take him out of the ambulance unless you pay us $5,000.
Justin felt he had no choice to pay the money to get the CT scan.
His neck is just shattered. He broke his C1, his C5, 6, 7, and his spinal cord was bent like an S, and there was pieces of his vertebrae sticking into his spinal cord. And they were just like, this is really bad. We can't help you.
The pair went to another hospital.
The bumpiest ambulance ride with a broken neck it took over an hour and a half to get there. They do an MRI on him that took 2 hours. And, I'm just pacing back and forth.
A neurosurgeon told him Jared needed surgery. Justin says doctors still did nothing for over 24 hours.
I am running around this 3-story hospital to the admissions department, to the billing department, to finding nurses to get him more pain medication, and getting different stories from every single department of what is going on and what's happening. They had pushed off the surgery over and over again and made up all these excuses. It's what can I do? I said, you have everything you're supposed to have. And the neurosurgeon said he could die if we don't do this surgery. And he literally looked at me and he's like, I'm so sorry, there's nothing I can do. And I said, what do you mean? And he picked up his phone and showed me a message from the hospital director saying, I'm going to keep canceling the surgery, get money out of them. They literally just wanted cash to grease the wheel to have the surgery. And this is at a hospital where people are supposed to care about people's well-being in life. They wanted $20,000. So of course I paid.
They still couldn't get surgery.
I don't know what to do. This hospital is giving me the runaround. They wanted a ransom payment. I gave them the ransom payment. They said the surgery was happening. They canceled it.
He pleaded with the neurosurgeon who finally did the procedure.
The surgeon just said, like, I did the best that I can, and I think I did good, but it's not perfect. And that he was hemorrhaging really bad at the top of his neck where your head is. And so they didn't get to fix 2 of his vertebrae. They just had to close them up. They had to do a 360 surgery on him. So they actually had to cut him in the front of his throat first, put his vocal cords over, and pull out the broken fragments from his neck to safely roll him over and then cut him down the back.
The condition of the hospital bothered Justin.
They don't wear gloves. They don't wash their hands. They don't wear protective PPE. I literally had to beg the people in there to not touch him with bare hands in the ICU, and trying to explain to them that he has a spinal cord injury and an incision next to his brain. Like, he cannot have bare hands. And I was like, what sort of ICU is this? This is not a safe zone at all.
After several days, Jared was flown to Houston, Texas.
They were ready for us. There were 3 nurses in there to do a full body assessment, clean him up, take all his vitals, start him on fluids. There was a neurosurgeon in the room within 10 minutes to check him out. They ran tests on him till 3:30 in the morning. So chaotic and exhausting, but it's what saved his life. And it was so wonderful to be back here and feel like you were in good hands. They see he has a spinal cord leak. He still has 2 broken bones in his neck that weren't fixed. And they're like, he has to go into surgery right away. This is life-threatening.
Jared's condition worsened.
And the next thing I know, the surgery for that day was canceled and we couldn't find out why. So one of the doctors pulls me outside of the room and says, he has PE, he has pulmonary embolism. And they said it's blood clots in his lungs. And it was because in the Mexican hospital, they just kept him drugged so he never moved at all, and nobody moved him.
Then more bad news.
The head of infectious diseases came in and let us know that he also had meningitis from not being in sanitary or disinfected areas. And again, they said this is super critical because you have a spinal fluid leak. It's next to your brain, and this could kill you. So he was on like 6 different IVs, literally 6 at all times, that he had to be on a blood thinner for the blood clots, 4 different antibiotics. And again, he still couldn't really move. They couldn't fix his spinal cord because they couldn't risk cutting it open because of meningitis.
For days, doctors worked to stabilize him for surgery.
When they cut him open, they discovered that not only were the titanium pieces that they put in Mexico the wrong sizes, they were in the wrong places. So they had to remove everything out, put in all new hardware, and then fuse his C1 and C2, put a plate in the back of his head. They also discovered a cut in his dura of his spinal cord, like a surgical cut. That was, they assume, a mistake made by one of the 2 surgeons in there, and that's why so much fluid was leaking out.
After a nightmarish few weeks, Jared is finally healing.
Jared is such an amazing man. I love him so much. He's the most positive, sweet, kind person I've ever met. He stayed so positive and in control and calm, which I don't know how he did, not being able to move and being told you were going to die 3 different times.
He's taking time off from his job in sales, and he's getting stronger every day.
Working out.
Jared is on physical therapy and occupational therapy. He did start to be able to wiggle his shoulders and move his arms slightly, which was amazing. He was walking with the physical therapist today. No, it wasn't cute. Wasn't cute at all. But he was walking. And the doctors here are very hopeful.
They have a GoFundMe for medical expenses.
The outpouring of support and love to him has been overwhelmingly wonderful. Like it is so touching. But I just need to, I feel like I need to advocate for him to make sure that he can still get that love and support.
Jarrett shares the story to warn other travelers.
I try to be a very proactive traveler, like had international insurance. I know where the hospital is. I've been to Tulum before. People just need to know about this. Like if you are a person that researches things and plans things and you felt like you had things relatively under control and your whole world got turned upside down, how would it be for someone else? I need to tell people. I don't even know what it's going to do, but at least if it makes one person think or plan a little better, I think that makes a difference.
For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindle.